Welcome. I am your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and this is Essencology Q&A. This is from our series of Essencology studies on Essencology TV. Let's dive right in. Tonight I want to discuss relational exit strategy. When we talk about relational exit strategy, this is a type of detachment from relationships, specifically when one feels that the relationship or the connection no longer is a viable connection or advantageous to the individual that's seeking to exit. When we have relational exit strategies, in many cases it's because an individual has not performed in the manner that they should. And because they have not performed, there is an imprinting upon another person, or there is where the individual now seeks to throw off their lack of responsibility and their lack of proficiency on to another. And so they are imprinting guilt upon someone else, specifically when they understand that they themselves have not lived up to their obligations. This can happen in marriage, this can happen in friendships, this can happen in business relationships, and it specifically can happen in churches. It typically happens where an individual becomes less and less involved. Sometimes it's because of extracurricular activities outside of the church. Sometimes it's because of a work schedule, or sometimes because an individual has become distracted in their spirituality. But basically what happens as the individual now becomes more disconnected, then they begin to establish reasons within their mind to become more disconnected. And as they become more disconnected, what transpires, the individual then seeks to have an exit strategy because unconsciously they understand they're not really doing what they seek to do, and they're not really doing what they are obligated or should do. And so they begin to, within their mind, withdraw. And in this withdrawal, sometimes behavior patterns change. People begin to detach emotionally. And so the communication begins to wither. And then sometimes they even begin to distance themselves from others on the job. Could be distancing themselves from their husband, their wife, their family. And the distance then is specifically set into motion for the purpose of making it easy to walk away. And so part of the exit strategy is to find reasons why it's valid for you to leave. And sometimes, even in finding these reasons, it's not necessarily valid, but it's made to appear valid through one's perspectivism. And so when one is not involved and they feel they want to be involved, even if they've been given responsibility and they have not managed that responsibility, they will still imprint the guilt upon those who they were obligated to serve. And basically what's happening, it's a period and a time where the honeymoon is over. The relationship has not equated to what individuals desire it to be. They were hoping that they could get so much more out of it, and they were hoping that they could forge objectives that really mattered to them. And so you'll find this in many cases when people are not invested in a process or invested in an organization or invested in a group. And there are many reasons for relational exit strategies, but most of them are centered around a withering of a relationship. Now, this withering of a relationship can happen because of many factors. I've told you a few. One, again, is that an individual unconsciously and subconsciously realizes that they're not making the grade. They're not performing as they should. And whenever you see this, because individuals have become disconnected, there comes a time when they no longer feel apart. But it didn't just start overnight. This detachment process could have been going on for months, years, even decades. Well, because an individual has never truly been connected to the process, they find themselves drifting, and they find themselves in their mind outgrowing a process, outgrowing a business, outgrowing a relationship, and outgrowing a church, when in reality they have never been committed to the process, the person, the organization, or the church. In reality, they've been more like a freelance individual in a freelance relationship. And if the truth be told, again, when we begin to observe things from a homiletical or philosophical homiletical position, we begin to understand how to interpret phenomena, how to interpret experiences, feelings, choices. And so when we talk about, again, relational exit strategies, it's typically a mode of finding a way to detach forever and to walk away. Sometimes it is legitimate, but in most cases, it's a scenario where an individual, through the cognitive dissonance in their mind, they know they're not achieving what they should, but they feel that they should be achieving something. And so the goal is find a new frontier where you can start anew, where you can now prove your worth. But too often, the same scenario starts and the same scenario follows them, because it's not the environment they're in, it's the environment that's within them, and the thoughts that they conjecture, the thoughts that they contrive, and the feelings and the emotion behind their not being connected. We're run out of time, and I thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Dr. Derek A. Reeves, and this has been Essencology Q&A. Until next time, heaven smile upon you, and God bless you.